Welcome back to another instalment of New Zealand's Bird of the Week, where in this video I will be talking about the Kererū and or New Zealand pigeon, which are large and often very loud flyers, with a particular fondness for berries. I hope you enjoy. Kererū, otherwise known by the more boring name of New Zealand pigeon, or by their other Maori names, kuku and kukupa, have their name originating from the quiet cooing noises they make. They are large birds, measuring up to 51 centimeters in length and weighing about 650 grams. Birds are brightly coloured, with them mostly being an iridescent green and bronze overall with a distinct white vest. They are very easily noticed due to the loud flapping of their wings, which is very apparent when heard, and are often seen to be very comical in how they do so due to their weight, with their contrasting smooth and rapid landings also being humorous to see, though loud crashes are usually more common. Whoa. There used to be two subspecies of these birds, the living one discussed in this video, Hemiphaga nova zelandiae, and the Norfolk pigeon, H. speditia, which became extinct around the start of the 20th century. A third subspecies, those on the chasms, known as the chasm pigeon, were proposed as a distinct species all to their own in 2001 on the basis of their differing plumage, 20% larger average size, and differing bone composition. Further analysis of the mitochondrial DNA has confirmed that Kererū and Norfolk pigeons are more closely related to one another than to the chasm birds, and that dispersal between the three likely occurred during the Pleistocene. When it comes to their diets, birds consume a wide variety of flowers and fruits, about 100 native and 50 exotic species being known of, ranging from kowhai, taua, miro, puriri and karaka regarding natives, and willow, bream and elms for the exotics. Said diverse diet is critical for New Zealand's native forests, given that they are the only birds remaining in the country with a wide enough gape to swallow fruit larger than 12 mm in diameter, and to be able to disperse the seeds whole again across a large area. Trees like karaka, miro and taua would otherwise be heavily threatened without their presence given the extinction of the moa species, and other birds like piopio, and without Kererū around may just go extinct themselves. Although often quiet and reclusive, Kererū can often gorge so heavily on ripened fruits that they can become drunk, sometimes being seen hanging and falling from trees after eating rotting fruit that has dropped to the ground, often being taken to wildlife centres to essentially sober up and recover. They are known to conduct spectacular flight displays during their breeding season, launching from the tops of trees and making spectacular swoops, where they ascend steeply and stall once they peak in altitude, then performing a very steep gliding descent. While usually not being all that territorial, birds will vigorously defend their given tree against another pigeon trying to land in it, with birds chasing each other around and whacking their opponent with their wings until one gives up and leaves. Pairs, once together, are thought to remain and breed together over multiple seasons, and will stay together even when not breeding. When they do breed depends on the availability of ripe fruit, something which varies annually, seasonally, and by location. Birds will hatch and raise usually just one chick, in a nest constructed out of a platform of twigs, which isn't the most sturdy of structures. Once hatched, after about a month of incubating, birds will feed the chick with a protein-rich quote-unquote milk, which is produced in their crop, a trait that is only shared with other pigeons, penguins, and flamingo, with birds adding partially digested fruit to their chicks' diets after a couple of weeks. Chicks will leave the nest after about 40 days, though their parents will continue to feed them for a good amount of time afterwards to ensure that they have a good start to their life. Despite their size and fairly common appearance in some areas, their populations are considerably smaller than they used to be. Small flocks of about 10 plus birds are sometimes seen, along with some larger feeding flocks of about 20 to 50, although this pales in comparison to their numbers over 100 years ago, with hundreds to even thousands of birds being known to congregate together in the 1800s through to about 1950, when their extensive decline began. They were so abundant in some areas that reports by ornithologist Walter Buller found at least 8,000 birds were caught and eaten from a grove of miro near Lake Taupo over only a period of 2 months between July and August 1882. Kererū, while being classed as least concern overall, are considered in New Zealand to be nationally vulnerable, with their numbers that, while being stable, are in some areas gradually decreasing. Birds can live upwards of 20 years, though in a lot of New Zealand, their lifespan can be anywhere from 5.5 to even 1.5 years, with birds dying far younger than they otherwise should be. While habitat clearance was initially the biggest source of their decline, and the flocks before human arrival must have been truly enormous before being cleared, it's now introduced predators, as per usual, that pose the biggest threat to them. Because birds usually only raise one chick at a time, and don't always nest every year, a lost nest to a rat or stoat, or even the killing of an adult bird by the latter, can quickly bring down a population over time. until all that remains is a population of adult birds, which will eventually fade away with little to no offspring surviving. Possums also compete with birds regarding food, as they also eat many of the leaves and berries that Kererū enjoy. Birds also face a human threat, with birds being taken for food until being outlawed in 1953, though reinstating the customary harvest of Kererū has been a divisive topic. Given their low population, however, it's unlikely that birds will ever be able to be harvested and or hunted legally in the future, with customary use of them currently being heavily limited to feathers and bones, which are only allowed to be obtained from dead birds collected by DOC. Road signs have also been used to warn motorists of the birds where they are common, as they are often low flyers, and can cause serious damage due to their size and weight, being vulnerable to window collisions as well. Regarding numbers, bird populations have been found through surveys and studies to be doing better in the North Island than down in the south, which could be down for a few reasons. Said stability in the North Island seems to be the case, in spite of predicted higher rat and possum densities, which could well be down to the larger beach mass events in the South Island, which leads to massive influxes in their numbers, leading to worse results for the local Kererū. The higher reproductive rates in the North Island could also be offsetting the effects of predation, as the warmer temperatures mean that birds can lay their eggs more often, as well as having more food available to them. Findings from the Great Kererū Count, which was conducted from 2014 to 2021, found that numbers had made an increase and subsequent recovery in urban and suburban areas, likely down to increased native plantings and pest control. By controlling rats and possums, Kererū populations have been known to increase up to 50% in some areas in a time frame of 2 years, no less. Where conservation efforts are taking place, their future may just be secure, but only if the work and effort continues to be put in. And with that, I thank you for watching this instalment of New Zealand's Bird of the Week. For next time, you're able to vote for the hihi, incredibly rare and striking birds which have quite interesting genetics and ways of going about breeding. With that, I'll see you next time, whenever that may be.